Welcome to the battlefield of brains, where strategy meets chaos and every move burns with intensity. Watch grandmasters clash, pieces fall, and legends rise. Wesley opens with 1. Piliin. e4. Thrusting a central spear to seize space and signal an all-out fight. Confident and hungry to push Manuel onto the back foot. Manuel answers, 1 dikachinnis. Innen. No way de net sen, and no wissen, only kirisen and care. Owanyo. Homeribdi, onenne. Sieve, with a Sicilian counterpunch, striking at Wesley's center and inviting tactical fireworks while grinning for a sharp, unbalanced fight. Wesley plays 2 Detsin. And f3, developing a knight to pressure d4 and preparing to dominate the center. Calm but clearly ready to complicate Manuel's life. Manuel replies, 2 penetio. N. Undanien. Initiendersin. 6. Bolstering c5 and e5 squares. A solid Sicilian spine that says, I'll take the fight, but on my terms. 9. Wesley brings 3. nc3. Reinforcing e4 and iyong d5. Smooth development that readies a central storm and flexes tactical muscles at Manuel's setup. Manuel plays 3 Tuisten, and overjundisin 1 de Penstian. Nan. Historien is så regiert henne, kjærmostikve, historien Anonymitia. A6. The classic Najdorf-like pawn. Stopping knight incursions and preparing b5, a patient, sly move hiding future counterplay. Wesley pushes 4 kiss. a4. Newum. Exploding the center with intent to open lines. A declaration of war that demands Manuel respond or be crushed. Manuel captures 4 tentani. Pen Mewel. Tensial. Innen. Eneselme. Kapia. Istonov. Interdiel. Enememodabudjan. And Shah. cx4. X. Trading a flank pawn for central pressure. Pragmatic and forceful. Inviting Wesley to recapture and clarify the middle game. Wesley recaptures 5 t. Next 4. Ian by Steven. Tabin. Placing a knight in the heart of the board. Aggressive and nimble, Wesley's pieces aim to dominate the center. Manuel develops 5 sin. Manuel devotes 5. Jen. Indensini. Innen. Nf6. Attacking e4 and accelerating kingside play. A natural, combative move that keeps Wesley honest. Wesley plays 6. k3. A modest prophylactic to blunt black's pieces and prevent bg4. Subtle but essential to Wesley's longer-term kingside plans. Manuel fianquetos with 6 pirstum. Unen. Es saneo, is Ina, Endinyal, Intel. G6. Signaling a kingside fianchetto and a hypermodern fight for long diagonals. Dangerous and flexible. Wesley storms forward with 7. G4. An aggressive, almost theatrical pawn storm aimed at Manuel's kingside, bold, risky, and full of intent. Manuel responds 7. And then Munda, Iberawue, Ebesti and Patchenkeon, Adi. BG7, Horse, Ente. Finishing the fianchetto and eyeing central dark squares. Calm under pressure, yet ready to meet Wesley's onslaught. Wesley develops 8 port K. BG2. Aligning his bishop with the G4 thrust and increasing kingside tension, Wesley's pieces harmonize toward a frontal assault. Manuel castles 8 port P. And Enestanolius in the Shiman, Dananian Tagoro for Bimize, and Etaniki, or Lyodakur Gala Dial. Oh. Tucking his king to safety while daring Wesley to prove the attack. Steady and unshaken, amid brewing chaos. Wesley plays 9 Tarki. B3. Bringing a heavy piece to influence the center, and prepare queenside expansion. An energetic and flexible positional shove. E. Manuel replies 9. Anindamanda. Istenjao. Enainos. Estabikstei. Au. NG6. Developing with tempo and contesting, D4 and B4. A classical, combative move that tightens his hold on central squares. Wesley, castles 10 point. Imnesio, Israelun, Twitsia. Completing development and connecting rooks. Ready to hurl pieces into the fray with his king safely sheltered. Manuel shifts with Tendanan. Onodius. Pedanisio Oneone. Indezape. Endes even. Teo benis sekidin and semok tentside. Maneuvering, a knight to support E5 and redirect influence, a preparatory. Strategic reroute, under pressure. Wesley plays 11. A4. Zeitzing queenside space, and preventing B5. A sharp prophylactic that keeps Manuel's counterplay constrained. Manuel replies 11. Henobo on a safe ordishan. Ende. Enden. Ende 5. Bravely centralizing a knight to blunt Wesley's space, and pretend the kingside assault won't phase him. Wesley plays 12. Peris neonage, ialing bayan, is en pace. B3. Solidifying C4, and preparing queenside expansion, while keeping options open for a tactical breakthrough. Manuel places 12. Puendi enter. Uns. And then, in Vajessie. BD7. Nur under pace. Developing calmly. Connecting the back rank and preparing to contest open files, strategic and composed. Wesley repositions, 13 piliin. Det2. Rerouting the knight to more useful squares and freeing the d-file for potential operations. Methodical attack preparation. Manuel spikes the center with 13. Umuwain niwan, penishtunes. A. Indi. Antigini. 5. A sharp pawn thrust aiming to open lines. Counterattack Wesley's center and inject chaos into the game. Wesley captures 14 toy. Patches the Mondonade Willen edition Borshuan. X5. Shredding the center and exchanging pawns to open lines toward Manuel's king. A fearless, sacrificial feeling, simplification. Manuel recaptures 14 tone. Undisman. Engine. Najanas Peril. GSF5. Opening the G-file but loosening his pawn structure, Manuel accepts risks to maintain active piece play and counter-threats. Wesley charges 15 piliin. A5. Driving forward to pry open Black's kingside and tether Manuel's knight. An all-in offensive pushing for concrete weaknesses. Manuel retreats 15. Ninimeno, Undime, Endelen, Eliso, Andade. End of C. Ing 6. Racing the knight to safety while trying to re-establish control over hopping squares. Reactive, but resourceful. Wesley plays 16. Peu on a seul, Semordobole 16. Tower. Piling up on G5 and A5. Increasing pressure with pawns and pieces, locking onto Manuel's vulnerable dark squares. Manuel answers 16. Mintonau. Nostene, Masibene Tenes Siwode, Majedne, in Showers Siwan. I6. Trying to blunt Wesley's G5 advance and create luft. A gritty defensive pawn that injects tension on the king side. Wesley captures 17. Poignant, Tordite, Peminoro Tumai. JEX, Penuru, Penpizza, Penanan. Ripping open Manuel's armor with a pawn sacrifice that screams tactical ambition and forces decisive lines to appear. Manuel recaptures 17. Ponolchungnan, Edisina, Aistueril Minunasevdae. ND. Inchisti. BXAJX. Giving up the bishop to stop the pawn while hoping to stabilize. Blood at the front. But Manuel clings on. Wesley sidesteps 18 piliin. Kaichte o, we. Tucking his king away from tactics while maintaining attacking coordination. Clinical and slightly theatrical in pacing. Manuel shuffles 18 piliin. Entain. Kennedy. Kasivin. Kiel winones 7, und Kanesevgen, Padiestimasiones Chibadana. Mirroring the king move to avoid pins and prepare defense, cautious. Breathing room gained in a furnace of threats. Wesley centralizes 19 poti. Govi2. Puininus, Emstioente. Bringing the queen into the battle. Aligning threats toward G5 and H6. orchestrating a deadly-sounding king-side duet. Manuel Fires, 19. Pullman tulles sois sendes seinen. Tanan namersin. Idi bayan nain. Izama wall. Tanestach and der. Now. A gate. Placing a rook on the g-file to challenge Wesley's attack and attempt to blunt the open lines. Pragmatic countermeasure. Dotard. Wesley lifts 20 tight. Radona. Pen benedictionen, Moristin. Mobilizing the rook to the central d-file to control open lines and prepare enters. Coordinated. Building the assault's backbone. Manuel answers 20. Indiaol. Ni. Istamodne. Q8. Centralizing the queen to support defenses and watch over key squares. A flexible posture under Wesley's storm. Iyong. Wesley maneuvers. 21. Tetfish. ND5. Undoin. Charging a knight into the center and eyeballing 7 and 7. Is Evan. A high-impact thrust that sharpens the tension dramatically. Manuel blocks, with 21. Penis sewers. Uns. Benana. Pendin. Dermol es sewers. Hechmokre senenchen. Air date. Bringing a rook to contest the d-file and blunt the knight's influence. Defensive precision in the heat of battle. Wesley expands 22. 2 is in. B4. D4. Grabbing queenside space to open new fronts and limit Manuel's pieces. A multi-front strategy that stretches the defender thin. Manuel replies 22. Diamobun mestin terisen. Inbablished Estinoft, and Tanotradiu. Anesini. And Trinstein. Robite. Repositioning the rook to b-file to contest queenside, and prepare counterplay. Patient. Zaking, counter chances. Wesley plays 23. Pitched moon. C4. Pin. Hitting the center, and aiming to pry open files for rooks and bishops, bold. Zaking to convert space into decisive action. Manuel moves 23. Und. Ants. QF7. Protecting key squares and connecting threats. Calm queen redeployment to meet the multifaceted storm. Bonded. Wesley thrusts 24 Teichter. Win Meuneri Kanan, Venice C Winnen. A5. Grabbing ground and forcing structure changes, while opening lines for minor pieces, aggressive and forward-leaning, Ein. Manuel recaptures 24, Terrible win. Al. Semun. Alments. Amna. XP5. Opening the A file and exchanging to create tactical seams. Accepting structural damage for piece activity. Wesley replies 25. XP5. Recapturing and landing a pawn on B5 that promises pressure down the A file, and keeps Manuel's pieces clamped. Manuel retreats 25 to Stuen, en Wełwunjen Wozechnich. Endandain. Anstenmayon. Chai. Fezi. In Melville. done. And died. Rerouting the knight to shore up defenses and I-key squares. Defensive rehab in a burning position. Wesley advances, 26. NB6. Planting a knight deep in enemy camp. Threatening forks and disrupting Manuel's coordination, with aggressive intent. Manuel responds 26. Antonari all. Enen. Inistanin Tolkianis Solresischer. Unalbiteris Nation, Haptadi. Physics. Developing and blocking tactical shots, while trying to untangle a defensive interposition that fights for control. Wesley slides 27. Turundiwagien, Timombatesta Suris. End of 4. But. Regrouping the knight to flexibly attack f5 and chicks. Tightening the noose and keeping Manuel's pieces under pressure. P. Manuel pushes 27. Tet. Anti. Oinwain. NH4. Leaping a knight into a kingside fork threatening square and trying to create counter-threats near Wesley's monarch. Wesley retreats 28. Bone. Hebron. Repositioning the bishop to protect the kingside and maintain long diagonal presence. Subtle. Strategic. And a little cinematic. Manuel thrusts, 28, turns toward 10. Neston, Lee. Tiwending, Destiny Pair, Monogolmas, and Shitchen. QA5. Activating the queen aggressively to harass, and perhaps trade down. Looking for tactical relief amid the pressure. Wesley plays 29. QF2. Coordinating queen and rooks. Defending h4 threats and preparing to intensify the assault, composed and aiming for precision. Manuel replies, 29th, 10. Engine. Inat so me, my, in. Int. BF7. Indesteo wonder, Tendestio and Pepsin. Rerouting the bishop to shore up g6 and s6 squares. Pragmatic defense, trying to blunt Wesley's centralized forces. Wesley brings 30 to ante. NF3. Returning a knight to amplify kingside attack and guard important squares. Tightening coordination with relentless intent. Manuel slides, 30 toy. Onisius. RD4. A brash rook lift onto g4 to harass white's queen and create tactical complications. Bold. Seeking to disrupt Wesley's plan. Wesley strikes with 31. Penedwolgaris Edis takes with 31. Eng5a. A thunderous knight jump, delivering check, and opening lines. An all-or-nothing tactical dagger aimed at Manuel's exposed king. Manuel accepts sacrifice with 31. Pewin tenes senwis. Elnen. Nen no wigan. Felices solbi. BXG5. 4 is. Capturing that knight to diffuse immediate check, but opening dark square holes and inviting counterblows. Wesley recaptures 32. fx d5. Opening files and placing pawns and rook candidates against Manuel's king. Fierce and full of combustive potential. Manuel counters 32. N. Kola. Enjairosi A2. Enter. Semi. Inke. Ateno. Edenwano Roishio. Re4. Swinging a rook to the center, to exchange and relieve pressure. Practical, but with risks on the exposed back rank. Wesley storms 33. Pesta ruin, Kimishenjankidowitune. Ends even. Placing a knight with tempo in Manuel's camp, to fork and harry weak squares. A surgical. Adrenaline-fueled insertion. Point. Manuel replies 33. Unmilinanis. Deonish. Right. Sliding a rook to 8 to contest the A file and shore up back rank. Defensive redeployment under duress. Wesley sacrifices with 34. Aries d6. Snatching a pawn and opening lines toward Manuel's king. Dramatic. Sacrificial. An intent on decimating black's shelter. Manuel counter-captures 34 torti. Enter. Ilizadosene. Eindein. Is desal. Inus. Exit 3. Grabbing material and striking back into white's position. A fierce reply that turns the position, razor sharp. Wesley checks with 35. Re6. Swinging the rook into the enemy camp with check and pure theatrical violence. Forcing Manuel's hand. Manuel responds 35. Understanding. Mednidamonon. Idiptimin ulsen. Nidanbunoliva. Qxa 6. Capturing the intruding rook and trying to blunt the immediate attack while accepting king exposure. Wesley captures back 36. Gxa E6. Opening the g-file with a pawn sacrifice that screams for mate threats and creates a raw, exposed king scenario. Potiri, Uanonom was Tian, Q, Endindan, can say Kiame, but Sivanen. Manuel pushes 36. Undi, when now, in now. No, they see. Our. Advancing a pawn to create counterplay and jam white's pieces. Ambitious and dangerous despite the precarious king position. Wesley calmly takes 37. Qes4. And said. Capturing on h4 to eliminate counterplay and simplify into a winning. Material heavy assault aimed at black's king. Pornolesiant senden, unknown your star, a material heavy assault aimed at black's king. Manuel lashes out 37. 19. Peda. 1 turn. Ratfon. Perisio the showen. Intersection Pagundioxe 10 down. A desperado check with the rook to create chaos and hope for perpetual tricks. Loud and risky. Wesley finishes with 38. RFT2. bringing the rook to safety and sealing black's fate. Clinical and triumphant as Manuel's resistance finally collapses. I'll end the video here. Please give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll keep finding the best and newest videos to share with you. Thank you so much. And I wish you all happiness and good health.